Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Y'all, and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. I'm going to start by giving some shouts out to Senor Kanga, to S. Jacques, to MLR, to D. Smith, and Ducree. I didn't think I was ever going to have a conversation with Courtney and Michelle, and I can't say that I've had a long conversation with her. Not that I was seeking it anyway, but Courtney and Michelle decided to say that it was time to do some sort of reset on incels. And the issue with that is that it makes the assumption that, or it leads you to the assumption that she means take us out. That's not an okay thing to talk about because doing a reset could mean very many things. But it wasn't very clear as to what she meant. I don't think she was actually advocating for mass violence. However, you have to clarify that that's not what you're doing. She was right when she confronted Amira, the exiled lioness. That was perfectly acceptable. She asked, hey, listen, what the hell is this word that Arabs have that y'all call us? It means slave. What is that word? And Amira acted coy and acted like she doesn't know what the hell it is, but I know that they know. I know Amira knew. And I didn't let her off the hook for that. Courtney Michelle tried to take accountability years ago for how she may have repelled and pushed away the father of a child. But I see that as too little, too late. I'm not supposed to be one to make that kind of judgment, but I understand that. It's still that you have a black woman crying tears after the damage is done. And after whatever impact it's going to have on the child, it already has. Whatever's permanent is already in place. It's almost like it's wrong in black women's eyes to just go ahead and say, before I become sorry, before I reach the stage of regret, let me go ahead and avoid this because everyone has mentioned what it's going to be. Everyone's already stated ahead of time. Courtney Michelle, in this 1 minute and 25-second video, blamed incels for some guys coming up with a soft guy era. This means that she does not actually listen much to the black or white manospheres. She, because of her being upset with guys preaching a soft guy era, then turned around and started to castigate incels, lump them all together. Incels, by definition, as I've stated, are involuntarily celibate. It is not their fault. They didn't choose this. It's not because they got neckbeards and live in mama's basement. It's because whatever the hell women do want sexually, these guys don't know. And if they did know, they probably found out when they were too old and it was too late to make any changes. When they were young, they did not understand that they were on the path to becoming incels because guess what? No woman in their life told them. And as a matter of fact, some of the women in their lives at that age, mom, sisters, aunties, grandmoms, pushed them on to that path of becoming incels. Steph Cold told us that that was what was awaiting him. That his mom and his auntie had him on that path. Just be a good man, your day gonna come. He was about to be an incel. He didn't have to have a neck beard and stay in that basement his whole life. All he had to do was not know foot to walk women wanted sexually, and he would have been an incel. He didn't have to be Urkel. He didn't have to have an abnormally high voice. None of that stereotypical stuff. All he had to do was not know certain things. And these same things that an incel can not know in order to become an incel are the same things that women will refuse to tell men. And Courtney Michelle does not understand if you got a problem with incels, the answer to that is that you take away the involuntary part of that celibacy. And that if you do that to too many men, that makes you an SLUT. The other thing you can do is you can come clean and honest with men from a large platform and just spill the beans and betray the sisterhood and the hypocrisy and tell men about these damn lies. And these men do not need to turn around and try to become the stereotypical dysfunctional knuckle-dragging swaggerillas that we know Western women want, white or black. What they need to do is ditch the cultural paradigm that demands this, and that is the West. And so what this means is that your first world living standards, Miss Michelle, have to come under threat. They must. The responsible men, whether they have a lot of money or not, need to be the first ones trying to bounce and exit because they are the first ones put on the road to incelibacy. It could have happened to many of us. I am far from being an incel, and yet it took very little for me to wind up becoming one had I not simply discovered certain things by chance. And would put an end to the possibility of that. For me, almost 30 years ago. And as a matter of fact, one of those episodes was 30 years ago. Two of them. And what's even funnier is that the very last one, where I had a fight with 12 in the cafeteria. Last time I had a fist fight. It was 29 years ago. So this month, next year, will be the 30th anniversary of that. I only mention it to you all because of the relevance that it has to the topic at hand. But if y'all want to know the truth, some people at the high school still talk about that. That's still how some of my high school classmates remember me. You mean the dude that hit CJ, got in a fight with him and his friends in the cafeteria that day? Yeah, that black mind. Now, when I meet them, it's not only about that. But when they have conversations and I'm not around, that's what they're saying. And it was because of these episodes of violence, Courtney Michelle, that I had to enact against other young black males whose enemies I was not supposed to be, who were not supposed to be my enemies, that all of a sudden, various lady students who were smart and about something and so-called high level began to look at me differently, as if now all of a sudden I'm viable. I don't give the ick, and it's no longer a social liability to be sent out in public with me at a movie theater. That's what the walk that was. If I had not enacted this violence, black on black violence, I would have actually wound up being an incel. I didn't have to be ugly. I didn't have to be 9AY. I didn't have to have mommy issues. I didn't have to have any of these things. The lack of stereotypical nigger violence would have been enough. Because that's who the hell Western black women are collectively. And when you sit there and you start jumping on incels and guys who are mostly joking and trolling when they talk about soft guy era and don't literally mean it, which is the only problem with it, by the way. You are pretty much saying if you fight back when women fight you, you're a loser and you're the worst thing in the world. And we need to do a reset on you. And when you're not clear about what the reset means, and I don't think that you mean kill, but when you're not clear about that, there are going to be people who start saying, well, you know what? Yeah, incels should be allowed. It should be legal to shoot them to death. Because we already know that ladies despise men they don't want to screw, especially Western women. They don't just not want to screw them. They despise them. You're lucky if you're invisible to them. Most of the time, they want to harm you if they notice you at all. So if you're one of those guys that's invisible to women, hey, look, that might actually be a good thing. I mean, in the West, because they're not going to want to smash most of you. If most of you learn how to fit the definitions that they want to smash, they would just narrow the definitions down even further. That's all. So you turned around, Courtney Michelle, and you started to speak in defense of the women that needed to learn the lesson from the trolling of soft guy era. Now, as an English teacher, living in what used to be a very backwards bedouin society of Saudi Arabia, I learned early on that the reason why many students were low down, dirty, rat bastard, hypocrite cheaters, and that they got through their lives this way, was because the students that were good students would turn and defend these rat bastard pieces of thit because it's part of the culture. They didn't want to be sellouts. Everybody hates a snitch. Does that sound familiar? Oh, the similarities in between their dysfunction and ours are astounding many times. Matter of fact, theirs can be even worse. Absolutely. Well, this is what it comes down to. These bad students pretty much had carte blanche. They were always more willing to be violent to get their way. So they would even get the good students to do things like photograph an exam and then send it to them. They would ask good students questions during exams, and if the good students didn't say anything because that's cheating, then they would beat them up later and get a bunch of other people to join in and do it. One of my students told me one time, he wasn't a student in my class, but he was a student in the class I had to supervise during an exam one day. And he came to me after that and he said, listen, all of the students in that class got plans for you if they ever catch you alone. And he said to me, don't think that they're just talking. I woke up in the hospital with stitches in my scalp one time because of this back in high school. This is years ago. This is about 2018 or 2019. I thanked him for telling me this. I saw the students later on. I walked in their classroom one day and said to them, I understand that you all got a problem because I stopped you all from cheating last time. And I took out, it's just a stick, but I took a stick out of my bag and I said, this is not for me to use on you. This is for one of you to use on me. If you have an issue, go ahead and go to jail right now. I'll be dead. I can't retaliate. Go ahead. I'm going to do this every day that I have to invigilate or watch an exam. You're not going to cheat in front of me and you just walk off scot-free. I do not respect the culture that allows cheating. If your parents told you it's okay to cheat, then damn your parents and tell them I said it. You're hypocrites. You preach this religion to everybody. You turn and pray, go into a classroom, cheat on an exam. Then after that exam and it's time for the next prayer, you turn around and go and say the next prayer. And tell the world that not only should they be Muslim, but they should be Arab imitating Muslims like you. I'm Muslim. I don't respect your culture because you call us slaves. My culture's fine. Yours is crap because you justify cheating to get ahead in life. And my people don't do that. We just fail or we pass. Now grab this stick and get this over with if you're bad. And nobody made a move for it. The reason for this, the reason I got to be like this with them is because you got good students in every class. It's changed now, Courtney, Michelle. Since 2020, it has changed. Since 2022, it has been radically, drastically different. But Courtney, Michelle, the problem was that you had good students who actually study and don't cheat, except that they give answers, but they were willing to stand up for the rat bastard cheaters. Tell us to go easy on them. Well, he's not a bad person. He's just weak in English. Yeah, but he cheated. I don't care. And matter of fact, what's he doing in an advanced English class if he was weak in the beginner levels? And they sit up and come to their defense. I'm like, no, you don't need to defend this kid. You need to tutor him and charge money for it so that he learns to take this seriously. And then when it's around the test time, you stop, you study, and he studies. And if he doesn't learn enough, he just fails. So eventually, I stopped defending I stopped respecting even the students that knew how to study and did study because they still gave answers during the exams because they were scared, socially and physically. And right now, to this day, students that are born after 2004 are a different crop of students than the ones from before. Now, if they were born before 2001, they are low lives. They don't know anything they're supposed to know. They may be nice people, but when you put any exam in front of them and they're going to talk to the neighbors and ask for answers and try to use their phones and do any and everything to cheat, they don't even think it's wrong. They're older than the ones that are better students. You'll catch them cheating. And then they want to try to block you from turning the reports in like that's okay. So, of course, I stopped being nice and civil even to them. I started saying to them, you're also a piece of shit. You're a hypocrite. You're a low-life rat bastard because of what you defend when someone else does it. And you even help them because you're scared. You let them intimidate you. Oh, they're going to get their friends on you. You got friends too. It was after 2022 when they all went back to the classrooms that at this point, the good students began to defend each other. They had learned this in isolation. And that was when everything changed. Now I can go back to being nice to them. Courtney and Michelle, you are not necessarily like the bad student that just never studies anything, never learns, is always asking everybody else for answers during the exam, sneaking phones in the photograph tests and stuff like that. You're not like that student. You're like the good student that really behaves well in front of the teachers and the administrators, but you defend the bad students in the end. The day before yesterday, Courtney and Michelle, I took a ride share from a mall back to where we live. That driver, and I got to chatting. We got to talking. I answered the phone call, and I was a bit loud because the listener could not hear me. The caller couldn't hear me that well if I didn't raise my voice. So when I was done, I said to him, listen, so I had to raise my voice so loud. I wasn't angry, but the other person couldn't hear well. And he said, yeah, man, take your comfort. It's okay. It's cool. We got to chatting. And this man told me he's an electrical inspector by training, but he never found a job as one. He's driving rideshare. That's his only income. And the reason for that is because even though he didn't cheat when he was a student, the students that did cheat wound up getting the jobs, because if you did not cheat, you make A's, B's, or C's. But if you cheated, you probably made A's, 95 to 100% on most of the exams. So they wound up getting the jobs here. One, they knew somebody, and then two, they had these high scores. So the cheaters got ahead in this society. It didn't start to change until 2 years ago. So the effects are still not there yet. But the effects that are still in the job market are that cheaters got ahead. They won. And that was because good students let them do it and defended them when they got caught, trying to keep it real. And these Arabs. You represent the ones that would have let them cheat. And then later, you would have wound up jobless for years because you were honest. And now here you are in the gender war of Black America, the Black West in general, and sitting up here blaming men that had nothing to do with this, incels, for something that is involuntary by nature, by definition, and then turn around and blame them also for a soft guy era, which is not even really something serious. It's just trolling. I'm telling you, Courtney and Michelle, if you think they're bad, I'm far worse, because I'm the one that just got through saying less than a week ago. I'm the one that said about 2.5 days ago that the only real problem with the soft guy era is that it's trolling, that it's a joke, that it's not serious. They need to make these things serious, because if you are a Western woman, you don't deserve to be taken care of. If you follow the Western culture when it comes to dating and mating and marriage and all that other stuff, you deserve to have to take care of a man if he is an incel. If no other woman would have wanted him, but you got him, you still should have to take care of him, because that's what Western women fought for. Fought to not only not submit, but to defy. You didn't fight to do what you wanted to do. Most of the time, you all have proven that you fought specifically to do whatever the hell men don't want you to do. And I've witnessed that be the case. I've seen friendly women of the West for years fall victim to this, and in the end, turn around and do whatever the man in their life does not want them to do, just because he doesn't want them to do it, because that's how they've been taught. Didn't have opinions on certain things until they learned that the man in their lives did have an opinion, and then they got to go against his opinion just to prove that, they're boss babes and independent women and they're new millennium women. And I said it that way intentionally, millennium, because they didn't really pronounce millennium correctly. Saw a friend of mine, lady friend of mine, accomplished attorney, get married, couldn't respect her man, lost him. He was another friend of mine. She wound up losing him, making assumptions, always assuming the worst. The man got enrolled in med school so that he could become a doctor, so that she could, once he started making money, she could go back to working part-time and eventually phase into retirement, because he saw what it was doing to her. She assumed that he was trying to use her to get through med school, even though he never took a dime from her to go. And she divorced him and cheated in the process. And since she's the divorce attorney anyway, she had all the advantages. But fortunately, she didn't decide to take him to the cleaners, because she still made more than him at that time. But she never discussed a damn thing with him until the divorce was finalized. Then when the judge gave the final decree at the last court hearing, she walked up to him afterwards and said, "Can we go across the street to the coffee shop and talk?" This was the DeKalb County Courthouse in Georgia. And he straight said, "Talk about what?" But that's when she told him why she had filed for divorce all this time. He's like, okay, so you stopped laying with your husband for all this time. Then you file for divorce. You don't say why. And now you want to tell me what the reason is? It doesn't make a goddamn bit of difference. And the messed up thing is, Courtney Michelle, she was able to find another husband. He ain't remarried. Because it's incentivized that way. He marries, the next time he could be taken to the cleaners. She marries, well, the husband's successful, but he's not a divorce attorney. So guess who has that advantage in the court if she does decide to go for his money? This is the environment in which we grew up. And so some men decide to say, okay, you know what? You fought for all of this. This is what the hell it means. Here's the mirror. And what do? You start blaming incels, who by definition had not a mother cuss word thing to do with this. That's why I called you a hyena, because you defend hyenas. I don't like doing that, but you fought for it. As far as I'm concerned, you and the mirror represent two different sides of the same coin. You represent the black side, she represents the white side. That's it. Men are not valuable to you. They're not valuable to her. That's what we have that is valuable. And you just proved it. If I had nothing to do with a woman's heart being broken, what the hell are you going to blame me for? I don't know, Courtney Michelle, but you'll find something. You'll certainly find something. And I know because you would not be the first one to do it. Now, Courtney Michelle, I can say this. If you were concerned with how black men and black women are going to get along, I can tell you that what it is that you all fought for as Western sisters is now making its way into Africa. The feminism, the misandry, it's making its way into Africa. More and more and more every day. South Africa's lost. Cape Verde's big cities are lost. Angola's lost. Cuban therapists that work in Angola have noticed how Angolan women hate Angolan men. We're talking about the black ones. They remarked about this. Like, what the hell, man? What's going on? Southern Nigeria lost. It's gone. The feminism and the misandry out of control. The materialism is just out there. Men are just tools. They have a very pay-for-play type of mentality there. Ghana is getting lost in the process. So right now, as more and more black men of the West are saying we're not going to deal with Western black women, they now have less and less option to replace Western black women with traditional black women from back home. Driving even the black men who preferred black women, driving them into the arms of the Southeast Asian women. Dang, Courtney. And you decided to pitch in once again, not only by having an opinion, but by having one that blames incels who are not soft guy era proponents for the soft guy era promotion. Wow. You don't, and then talk about we need to do a reset without clarifying what you mean. Goodness gracious. The hell did you have for cereal that morning? Did your breakfast taste or smell a little funny? Anybody dilute some scolopamine and put it in her food? Is that what happened, y'all? Because she talked like it did. If you had not done so, Courtney Michelle, I would have not called you a hyena. But then you retorted by saying, what do you say about your mama? I really could have sworn that not only were you not going to see the comment for a long time, if ever, I could have sworn that you probably would have not seen it. but that if you did see it, you would have come with something better than just, what about your mama? But instead, it's you yourself, not one of your minions, that comes right along with that played out argument that you must know is played out if you have listened to the Black Manosphere at all. It tells me that when you listen to the Black Manosphere, you only listen to argue, to respond, not to learn. That's what this tells me. And this is why it is that you got more and more young Black boys who are growing up with a disdain for Black women. And this is reaching a continent too. And you're contributing to it. If you got a problem with Black men's attitudes towards Black women in the West, don't contribute to it like you just did. I hope that what I've said helps, although I don't think it's going to help you. Somebody else might learn from this. And to the rest of you, thank you all for listening. As always, Black heart, Black mind, Black out, assalamu alaikum, Black heterosexual, non-select male power just because the likes of Courtney and Michelle don't like it. And Black patriarchy, until extinction, a judgment day. Thank you all for flying with us again here on Jet Black Airways, where the phrase jet black is also a verb. Keep jetting black with us until the wings and the wheels fall off. Gender justice forever.